Hey, fellow Restopians, welcome back to Restopia. Now, I did a recent video. It's Watches and Wonders tomorrow. It's a very miserable, rainy Sunday here in the UK, home of GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, or as is also known, Zulu time, I think is a thing. UST, Universal Standard Time. So a few names for good old GMT. Greenwich Mean Time. I think I've been to Greenwich once. I'm a Londoner originally, and I think I've been to Greenwich. That's the problem with old age. I cannot actually remember. I don't think I've seen the clock in Greenwich, the mean clock. Anyway, I'm going off piste here, which is a French term. So yeah, I did the Watches and Wonders prediction video. Got some new subscribers. Thank you very much, guys. I really do appreciate new subscribers, and hopefully you will like the videos and leave some comments in the comment section below. So what's the title of this video? The real MoonWatch. I keep saying MoonWatch that I have here, because I do like the old MoonWatch, as you've probably seen in previous videos. Not personally a fan of the MoonWatch, but I don't want to be too negative about the about the MoonWatch and people that obviously love it. I completely appreciate people loving the MoonWatch and all its history. It's just not for me in terms of its history, and it's not for me in terms of the actual form factor of the watch. So title, the real MoonWatch. Well, neither of them are here really. It's a bit clickbaity. So we have the MoonSwatch, which isn't the real MoonWatch, and here we have the Omega Speedmaster Professional X-33 Skywalker. Did a watch ever have a cooler name? Now I've got the box hiding around somewhere. It's a pretty cool box. It's not the standard Omega box, the sort of light wood coloured gloss or now matte Omega box, which is an industry leader. It's not quite as well polished as that, but it is bigger and it is a bit more impressive. It has a little plaque saying X-33 Skywalker. Now, I'm a child of the, I grew up, Star Wars. I was the perfect age for Star Wars. So I really enjoyed Star Wars, Back to the Future, Tron, and those kind of things. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. That was kind of where I left Star Wars. But yeah, big part of my childhood. So a watch called X-33 Skywalker. Someone said to me that every watch collector has to have an Omega Speedmaster in their collection. I'm not sure if he said Speedmaster or Speedmaster Professional, because obviously I have 3 here in my collection, 3 Speedmasters here, as you can see. Clearly says on a dial. They never come out of here, and I was very careful not to touch them because they might disintegrate. But I do love them. But and I thought, well, what about the quartz variant? Now, so let's deal with the clickbaitiness. So yeah, this is not a MoonWatch, but this watch potentially is currently in space right now as we speak, because it is let's have a look at the back. That's pretty cool back. I'll come back to the back in a minute. Speedmaster Skywalker X-33 with some nice embossing on there with the Seamaster logo, Seamaster horse. Flight Master tested and qualified by ESA, which is the European Space Agency. So that means that potentially this watch, and I believe you can buy ones that are worn by European Space Agency astronauts. This watch is in space right now, which to me is a bigger deal than a watch that looks like one that went to the moon decades ago. But, and the specs of this are nicer than the MoonWatch. Which I find the bracelet, I guess it starts at 20 mil and it tapers to 16. Maybe it starts at 18 and tapers to 16, but it's very narrow at the clasp side of things, which is, you know, I'm not having a go, but it's quite a feminine looking watch from behind, and that, I know that puts a lot of people off, but you know, it is what it is. Watches are different, and people love different things, and that's what I love about watches. So I'm not going to. Please don't take that as a diss. But this model, so it is. It's about 40. I'm not going to get the verniers out today because it just takes up time. But I have mentioned it's about 40mm at the bezel. Overall, it's about 44-ish roughly. So you know, it kind of wears fairly big. 20mm lug width, which I think it should be 21. I'm a big fan of 21mm lug widths. I think this should be 21. Tapers to 18. Grade 2 titanium, which gets a lot of stick, but it's the most pure titanium. So I'm all for grade 2 titanium. It's going to scratch if you wear it, but if you wear a watch, it's going to scratch. Grade 5 titanium clasp, which is quite a good idea. It's more expensive to make, I believe, even though it's an industrial grade titanium, but it's meant to be more scratch resistant. But yeah, I've got quite a. It's not a deep scratch, but it's quite a nice scar there on the clasp. It's got a few, but yeah, you know, it's what it is. I think it's quite light being titanium. It's obviously, well, I say it's obviously, it's a quartz. So it's the quartz Speedmaster Professional. Doesn't hit the markers particularly well, which I'll come back to again in a minute, which is annoying with quartz. I really wish it hit the markers properly. This is the not the first take of this video. So you can see quite clearly the AnyDigi, the digital side of the Any digital display. You cannot turn that off, although if you leave it for 5 days, it does turn itself off. And then when you push any button, it comes back on. There's a battery saving measure, which is quite cool, but I would like to be able to turn it off. I did think that I would prefer it with the AnyDigi off or the digital display off, but you know, realistically, I actually prefer it with the digital display on. If it's gonna be an AnyDigi, it should be an AnyDigi. Now, so I've given you the specs. What I like about this is a couple of things. I like is that there's a few variants. There's actually 4 variations of this, which I'll come on to all 4 in a moment. Most 3 of them have the this little kind of spaceship logo at 12, 3, 6, and 9, which I love. Adds to the whole sort of you know, what am I going to say, childish. You know, I like the fact that it's called an X-33 Skywalker, and you know, it has a whole Star Wars vibe. So that you have 4 pushers. 4 independent pushers. I can push them now because I've so they do various functions. I cannot tell you what they do because I did that. Starts a stopwatch, that ends the stopwatch. Sorry, that ends that does the lap time as a normal chronograph would, and then resets. Stop it and then resets. If I can stop it and then resets. There we go, resets. I don't really wear it enough to know exactly how to use it, which is always a problem with a complicated thing. It's fairly intuitive once you know what it does, but because I don't wear it enough, I don't really need the functions, so I just wear it as a watch. This here is not a pusher. That is the case. That's what's left of the case after all the pushers have been added. The crown itself is a pusher, and I do know what that does. It basically toggles between lots of modes. This button up here, I think that's the light. This button up here toggles between 2 modes. So if you're using 2 specific modes, this will toggle between them, but you have to set the second mode by pushing another button. But I don't want to go too much into how it works because that's fairly irrelevant. But if you did want to know how this works, there's quite a few videos online of the X-33. Let's get this up before I put it to you. But what there is, if you've got an iPad, this app is iPad only. It's not iPhone, iPad only. It's a really cool app, and you can basically you can virtually own this watch, which has been is currently in space. So right now there may be an astronaut up in space wearing this watch on his or her wrist. But yeah, if you want to own it virtually, there's a really cool app, iPad app, not iPhone, unfortunately, as I said, where you can go through, you can basically, I'm not going to push any buttons, but you can basically, go through all the functions on the app. Now, the nice thing about the app is that conveniently, the second hand hits the markers perfectly at every 60 of the markers. Now, I really wish that the real thing did that, but like all quartzes, it doesn't. It's kind of fairly accurate from about, or my one is fairly accurate from about 10 seconds. It's behind on all of them, between about, so 10 seconds it kind of hits the mark perfectly. By the time it gets to 30, it starts to lose accuracy. So most of the time it's behind. I kind of like watches when none of them are going to be 100% accurate, but it would be nice if they were plus or minus a bit, rather than this one is only minus. It's either hitting the markers or minus, so there's room for improvement, and that's a bit of a disappointment for me. I did mention that I would show you the other. It says here switch. Let me get a thumb out. It says here switch. So this is the Skywalker, and it says switch to solar impulse. So if I push that, it will show you a different model, which is in some very different colorways, on a NATO, not a bracelet. Still has the little rocket symbol, but I'll have to tell you about the two others. So the one that was out when both these Skywalker X-33 and the solar, what was it called? I'll have to click that to solar impulse. When both of those were available, and there is a previous model to the Skywalker, but doesn't look as good as this one. It looks very dated compared to this one. I think this is a stunning looking watch, which is why I purchased it. If it wasn't for the looks and the name, and all right, sucker, it says Speedmaster Professional, but if it wasn't for those three things, I obviously wouldn't have purchased it. And the first one that didn't look quite as good, it looked like it was from the 70s, 80s, wasn't quite as good looking, but it does exist. So there's, as I said, there's the three current ones. Two of them are the X-33, the Solar Impulse, and there's a regatta version. Now the regatta version has a star instead of having the little spaceship at 12, 3, 6, and 9. It has a little star, which kind of it isn't for me. I needed it to have a little spaceship. It's a Speedmaster Professional. It's a watch that's that needs to be out of our atmosphere. So to have a regatta version just doesn't really make sense to me. It doesn't have the rocket. It has a star. I don't know why you'd have a star rather than, I don't know, a sail or something. I don't know. But the other problem with all of them actually, but particularly kind of strange with the regatta version model, is that these only have 30 meters of water resistance. Now in space, even if you go to Mars, and I'll come back to Mars in a minute, I forgot a few things that I'm coming back to, I hope I remember them all. You don't really particularly need water resistance, but on a yacht, I'm guessing it's quite important. But it has 30 meters of water resistance, which is very strange. Now, one of the reasons that may be is if you look at the case back here, it's a design feature that I really like. It has these kind of inlets into the case back. Now, the case back is screwed down. There's 8 screws there holding it down. I'm hoping they will all look as perfect as that when it goes for a battery change and won't be all chewed up. But yeah, it has those grooves, and they're very Star Wars. They look like the the Death Star. It looks like, you can imagine like an X-wing being chased by various TIE fighters going into those grooves. So yeah, I like the design, but the weird thing about that is that they are actually hollow. Now, you can't see it on this video, but if I hold this up to the light, and I've checked this multiple times, I even did it today already, so I won't do it again. If you hold it up to the light, you can actually see straight. You might, I just saw that through the green, but you can actually see completely to the other side. So that is completely hollow. So any water, not that you want to get this wet, but any water or dust or dirt that gets in there, or this is a bit gross, skin that gets in there, isn't coming out, I guess, until that's not going to be a nice battery change for the poor guy at Amiga, is it? He's going to unscrew that, and there's going to be 3 years of crud in there. But anyway, yeah, that is quite an unusual. I've never seen that on any other watch. I've also never seen anyone mentioning it on this watch when I have looked at reviews. But they also don't mention the really cool app, so I guess it swings and roundabouts. So that's the watch. I think I've covered everything on this. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the section below. Let me know what you think of it. Now, the last piece of this video is I've mentioned there's 4 models, and I've already talked about 3 of them. Now, and I've also mentioned that, the title says it's the real MoonWatch, which it isn't. But it could be the real Mars watch, because the other version, the latest version of this, is the what do they call it? Mission to Mars, I guess. I don't know. It's sponsored. I think is it the Matt Damon edition? Matt Damon. Matt Damon. I can't do it. It's too early in the day. But yeah, that is the same as this, apart from 2 features, as far as I'm aware. One is it has a kind of a Martian-like orangey brown bezel rather than black. And the second thing that's different, on here you've got MET, which on this one stands for Mission Elapsed Time. Now that's quite a cool feature. There are quite a few countdown timers on here that are quite cool. You can set them for like years in advance, and it'll count down. There's quite a few features on this that are you don't have on many watches. The one that's on the Mars edition, though, is the Mars Elapsed Timer, which is pretty cool, because I think we are, as humans, going to go to Mars in hopefully in my lifetime, in the near future, and I think that's quite a cool concept. But it does bring into, as watch fans, it does bring up the question: which watch is going to go to Mars? Is it going to be an Amiga? Or Amiga, I mean, this is going to cost megabucks. Someone's going to be paying. It's not going to be like whichever watch the astronaut want to wear. It's going to be one that a brand has paid for. Are Amiga going to be able to stump up that cash? Rolex kind of don't do that kind of brand placement thing, and but I don't think they've ever done it. I think the Rolexes that were in the James Bond films were just there because the writer put them there originally. I don't know, maybe whoever's got the most money at the time, really. But I think the as Amiga have made a Mars watch, that would be kind of nice. And as this one is actually in space right now, has been in space way more than the MoonWatch, then I think you can buy these that have been pre-owned by astronauts, that were given to astronauts. You can buy them. There's obviously a serious markup for those, but it's quite a nice thing. I think a quartz watch just makes more sense in space, in a spaceship anyway. Hopefully it won't be an Apple Watch that goes to Mars. I mean, that would be really disappointing. But yeah, I think my money's on Grand Seiko. I think that maybe Grand Seiko, they've got the resources potentially, and they need to make a mark. Maybe that would be something that they could do. Speaking of Grand Seiko, as you know, I've got my little embellishment here that I don't normally mention. Now inside, I could put that down. It's grade 5 titanium on the. Well, it's grade 2. It's titanium. It can be scratched. Inside here, my little Grand Seiko box, which is quite difficult to undo with gloves on. Inside is absolutely nothing, because what was in there was. It's easier to have them ready to go. I've actually got two. I've actually got two of these, and they were given to me by a good, my very, very lovely Grand Seiko AD buddy. A couple of Grand Seiko straps. Now, we've got a nice olive green one here. I've never taken these out of the little plastic things, and to be honest, I'm not going to bother now. Nice, lovely olive green here. They have the Grand Seiko embossed clasp. Quick release spring bars, which is a fantastic feature, as you can probably see on there, 20 millimeters, which I'm never going to use, because I'm never going to put a strap on a 20 millimeter watch. I tend to be 21 or 22 millimeter lug width type of guy. And then we got this lovely burgundy with on black there on the back, burgundy strap, embossed with embossed with Grand Seiko on the back as well. I'm guessing these are leather. Does it have any? Doesn't mention, but they're lovely things. Now, I'm thinking of the reason I've got these out is I'm thinking of doing a bit of a giveaway. I need some help, guys. What do you think would be a good thing to do a giveaway on these with? What would the criteria be? You know, I've got about 50 subscribers now, so maybe it could be a bit subscriber based. But yeah, I'd like to all the big channels do a giveaway, so maybe I'd like to give one of these away. So what I'd like to know is, which one would you like the most if I did a giveaway, either the olive green or the burgundy, and whichever one gets picked the most, I'll pop in the giveaway, because I'd like to keep one. This is open to UK, where I am, and also USA. I do have the ability to post out to either this side of the pond or the other side of the pond. So that's an option too. And also like to know in the comments below, I know that I've got at least one USA subscriber, but maybe you could sort of you could just let me know in the comments if you're USA or UK. I think that'll do for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video of the real, not the real MoonWatch. I really love it. I'm going to wear it again now. I've retrieved it from the vaults. I'm going to wear it again. It's a very comfortable watch to wear, and I do like the design. Takes me back to going to the Odeon in Streatham and going to watch Star Wars. Now, for you younger guys, an interesting fact is, which you may or may not know, but you have multiplexes these days, or multi-screen cinemas in the UK. Back in the day, it was one screen. So my memory of watching Star Wars back in 1977 was there were various entrances to. These days, there tends to be one entrance and exit to a screening, to a movie, to a film. Back in the day, there were multiple. So it was like a theatre. You had upper circle, stalls, whatever they called them. But even on each level, you had multiple entrances. And I can't remember, but I'm guessing they were kind of linked to where your seat was. And I remember going, and the other thing in a cinema back in the day was that the seating was seriously, now these days it's quite flat. Back in 1977, they were seriously raked in the main section, I guess in all sections. But and going through the little doorway through the tunnel, it must be like what it's like now going to the biggest football stadiums in the world. And you go in and you sort of turn around and see all the people sitting there already with their hot dogs and popcorn, etc. And it's seriously disorientating. You know, you almost, I remember almost feeling like I was going to fall over, being disorientated by, you know, the just sheer amount of people and the scale of the place. Anyway, but that's what it was like in 1977. So, as well as lots of other things that were very different to today. And I think this piece certainly takes me back there. I hope you've enjoyed the video. As I say, do like and subscribe. Well, I haven't said that, but please like and subscribe if you've liked and you'd like to subscribe. And please do leave some comments in the comment section below. If you have a few moments to do that for me, that would be great. Well, I've enjoyed making this video. If you've enjoyed watching it, one wrist, live it.